Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today I am here with Todd Bryanton, aka Lil Deuce Deuce, or you may have known him from the internet and music and various other music. How did you get your internet handle? How did you get the name Lil Deuce Deuce?
Well, it's kind of a dumb story. Basically, I started out doing parody raps, which I don't really do so much anymore on my channel. I was just trying to think of like the most stereotypical kind of like hip hop name that I could think of. But it hasn't really worked out because, I don't really do as much of the hip hop stuff anymore. So, it's kind of a weird handle, but once you get known for it, you're sort of stuck with it.
What got you started to putting videos and your music online?
Well, about 5 years ago, when I started like circulating songs just amongst friends, and like I was part of like message boards and forum communities where I would just like post pretty much exclusively for like the 20 or 30 people that would go on there. And then people started saying, hey, this is actually kind of funny, you should post it on YouTube. So I just put it up on there, and the first video I did kind of took off a little bit. So I guess I was lucky in that respect. At the time, I didn't really know anything about YouTube or the YouTube community. So it was a bit of a crash course in learning about all the different creators and all the different genres that you can find on YouTube.
You've worked with quite a lot of people, Tom Scar and Weeble, and how important would you say is collaboration, especially on sites like YouTube?
Oh, it's everything. I mean, I wouldn't have, like, so many of the opportunities that I've had to work with people are a direct result of other collaborations. Like, the collaborations lead to other collaborations and lead to discovering new people. And I discover all sorts of new people all the time through the collaborations they do with other people that I know. I love it when I can collaborate with people. I don't always do it because it's not always possible, but I mean, that's a huge part, is that there's only so much that I can do personally, and I have a lot of gaps in my skill set. So if I can bring in other vocalists or other guitarists or things like that, it's always great.
You've done music for movies and TVs as well. What would you say is the differences between doing music for videos and projects on YouTube and online to traditional composing for movies and TV productions?
The immediacy is by far the hugest difference in the process, where, a lot of the time I'll have deadlines and it'll be kind of a hurry up and wait thing on TV or with, a movie where I'll work on something and there'll be a very strict deadline. We got to get all this music done, and then it'll sit, until it gets an actual, until it gets a deal. With a film, you might finish working on a film and then you won't actually see it get distributed anywhere for like 2 years after that. Whereas with a YouTube video, I might be working on a YouTube video at 4 a.m. the night before it comes out, and then, a million people will see it the next day. Like in the case of like something like, Tom Scott's videos. So that's what's kind of the rush of YouTube, is being able to put your stuff out immediately and then get immediate feedback.
Have you ever considered branching out into other styles of videos?
Yeah, I mean, part of it is that once you start, I mean, definitely, I do kind of think in terms of comedy a lot, but, definitely once you get into when people sort of expect a certain type of video from you, it's hard to imagine just going completely, out of left field. I mean, there's definitely that at some point you start to censor yourself based on what you think your imaginary audience wants, even if that's not necessarily true. Like, you start to think, oh, if I do this type of video, are people just going to be alienated by it? So occasionally I think of doing, other types of videos, but mainly it's just like, I think of bad comedy concepts that I want to do, but then I'm too kind of chicken to put it out because I'm worried that people will want more kind of music based rather than just bad comedy.
Has some of those bad comedy ideas sort of wormed their way into some of your other products like Dr. Monster?
Yeah. I mean, Dr. Monster is fairly classic kind of pun based, so that's fun. Most of the bad ideas I have are more just like really, really short, tossed off kind of ideas. Like, I don't know. So for instance, I watch a lot of ASMR videos, but then like occasionally I'll think, oh, I should do an ASMR parody because I'm kind of familiar with everything that's in, that community. But then I think, well, it's kind of a stretch because it's like, I'm not associated with it at all. And it's the sort of thing I'll think of ideas like that where I could do an ASMR parody video, but it would be just kind of completely out of nowhere to people who follow me and know me only for music.
You've played many instruments over the years, and you've played like the drums and the guitars. And what would you say is your best instrument, and what would you say is your most favorite instrument?
Both my best and my favorite instrument is definitely drums. Like, that's the one I have the most experience playing live, and the one I feel the most confident in. I just loved the idea of drums growing up. I didn't actually start playing until I was 16, but I was always just, air drumming and banging on things and making noise growing up.
Would you consider sharing and social media sort of important?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, particularly now with the state of YouTube, subscribers are a lot less important than they used to be, I think. And people talk about like the sub box being broken, and I think that's partially true, but I think it's also just the oversaturation of there's just so many people on YouTube now. Like even, you know, I'm subscribed to a couple hundred people just because they're all people I genuinely want to watch their videos, and I might only end up watching 40% of the videos of the people I'm subscribed to, and I'm somebody who's kind of on YouTube and not just a casual user. So I can understand why people are getting things like only 10% of their subscribers watching their videos. So I mean, since there isn't as much of a guaranteed, you know, push at the beginning of a video from your subscribers, you do have to rely a lot more on being able to do things that are shareable and that are going to be shared on things like, you know, Twitter and Facebook and all that. I think Facebook is definitely starting to become bigger, and they're definitely trying to set themselves up as a direct competitor to YouTube. And Facebook at the time doesn't really have any monetization, but there's the whole issue with Facebook freebooting. Like, you see people who put a video on YouTube and it gets, like, even people from like an established, with an established subscriber base, you know, like somebody like Jax Films, he, during the whole blue dress thing that was a couple months ago, he put up a video about it, and the original video on his channel got 500,000 views, and then somebody stole it and ripped it and put it up on Facebook, and they got 21 million views or whatever. And I think it shows that that Facebook is aware that they're pushing a lot of traffic towards video, and that's why they're going, well, why should we be pushing all this stuff to a different platform and making money for Google when we can make this money for ourselves? And I think that's why YouTube had the whole panic about trying to set up Google Plus, is that they realized that a lot of their views were coming from social networks, and like, well, we need to set up our own social network so we're not like reliant on other people to be pushing you know, traffic to us. And so I think that definitely Facebook could end up being, if not overtaking YouTube, then kind of being an equal competitor.